This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com. Before we get there, you make a now infamous appearance at the ECW arena.
Oh, God.
As the story has been told, you had a friendship, or at least an acquaintance in Shane Douglas, who is also a Pittsburgh guy. And he's one of the main guys, one of the top stars at ECW.
I just saw him yesterday.
Oh, really? What's your relationship like with Shane?
You know what? Back then, we're good friends. We don't see each other quite a lot, but, every once in a while we'll run into each other at a signing. But back then, he knew a friend of mine and got my number from his friend and my friend, our friend and mutual friend. And he called me and he said, "Hey, we have this company that is more geared toward your type of wrestling, your Olympic wrestling, than pro wrestling. And it's called ECW." Okay. So he's telling me this looks more like Olympic wrestling than it does pro wrestling. So I was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool. So you guys are starting a pro amateur wrestling league." He goes, No, it's pro wrestling, but it looks more like amateur wrestling.
Okay.
And that's why they put the Taz match in there, just to make me happy, when they were doing it. Him and Guido did amateur wrestling at the show that I went to. When Shane asked me to be a part of the ECW show. So it was going to be in Philadelphia, and they were going to pay me a good amount of money. So I decided that I would do it. And I was excited because I thought it was more geared toward amateur wrestling. So when I get there, I'm meeting the boys and they're all tattooed up, long hair, got their gear on and, torn jeans, and, Raven's got, he's holding a chair, and Sandman's holding a kendo stick, and someone else is holding a ladder, and I'm like, this is supposed to be amateur wrestling,
right?
This is worse than the WWE. So it was a very eye-opening experience to be a part of the show, and what happened during the show was just crazy.
Let's talk about that. Before we do, I want to mention they have you do an interview, and then they have you help do some commentary on the match with Taz and Little Guido. So you got to meet Joey Styles here. Taz is going to say that Kurt Angle is the best amateur wrestler in the world, but I'm going to show you the difference between the best amateur and the best professional wrestler. So that's a nice little piece of storytelling and tying you in, I guess. But then it's time for the world title match, and Sandman retains his ECW title, pinning Scorpio after Scorpio missed a move off the top rope. But that's not the real story. It's what happened after the match. Raven hits the ring along with Stevie Richards, Blue Meanie, Supernova, and of course, Lori Fullington, Sandman's wife. And they destroy Sandman, caning him in the eye. They bust him open. And finally, Raven pulls out a cross from under the ring. Yes, a crucifixion is going to happen. They tie the Sandman to the cross, put barbed wire on his head like it's the crown of thorn they put on Jesus, and crucify him at the ECW arena. And the angle is even too extreme for ECW, because after intermission, Raven comes out in the ring out of character and said he was coming out as Scott Levy and apologizing to anyone who may have been offended by what happened. And it's in the Observer. From what we're told, Angle backstage was really upset about the angle, thinking it might ruin his image and feeling double-crossed about being there. And there were some fans who freaked out about it, but it is doubtful that Angle will ever be back. And the rumor and innuendo was that you told Heyman you were leaving, and this better never air on TV, or else you'd have your attorney get involved. What do you remember about seeing a crucifixion at the ECW arena?
Well, you have to understand, I'm a Christian kid from Pittsburgh, a Catholic Christian, and the crucifixion was really offensive. But back then, I do want to say this because I need to get this off my chest. I didn't understand the storytelling of pro wrestling and how you want to get the wow factor and, surprise people and get them excited or get them pissed off. There's a lot of emotion is involved in pro wrestling.
Right.
On the story. So back then I didn't get all that. I didn't understand it. When I saw it, I was like, oh my God, this is a crucifixion. Like, this is someone portraying Jesus on a cross, and I can't believe I'm here.
Right.
Like, so, I was really upset, and I went to Paul Heyman. I said, hey, I can't be on the same show as this.
Right.
You can't air this show with me on it. If you do, you're going to hear from my attorney. And Paul said, well, I didn't even know it was going to happen. And I was like, okay, he's the promoter. It's the main event, and he doesn't know this is going to happen. He's full of shit. So,
yeah,
and Paul, I love Paul. He's a great guy, but he basically lied to me, and I understand why. He just trying to take the heat off of himself.
Right.
And I was serious. I told him, I'm going to sue you if I end up on the same show. So I know they didn't air it on the same show as me, or if they might have. I don't know if they took the crucifixion off, or
it never aired as far as I know.
Okay, so I won that battle, but it definitely scared me away from pro wrestling. I was like terrified. That was my last straw, and that, I think that was what, 96 still.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, late 96. So that was my introduction to pro wrestling. It was overwhelming.
I'm sure you thought on your ride back, boy, my agent was right. This is trash. I don't need to do this.
Yes, I definitely thought that this was not the thing I wanted to do.
We're going to talk about your invite to go talk with the McMahons. But first, I want to mention you also had a trip to New York to be on Live with Regis and Kathy Lee, which was a big deal. And you noted in your book that appearance was a lot of fun, and Regis put on a wrestling singlet and you got him on the mat, and you were, it's a comedy segment. And, I think you said something that was pretty funny. I just want to know one thing, Regis, where's your microphone?
Yeah.
And he laughed. You don't want to know, Angle. How great was Regis, man?
Regis was so entertaining. I was always a fan of his. My mother, he was her favorite talk show host. And to go up there and, to be on his show with Regis and Kathy Lee, that was a huge hit for me because my mother thought I was the greatest thing in the world being on Regis's show. But he was really funny, very friendly, one of the kindest guys I ever met. And he never forgot you. When he met you once, he always remembered who you were. He was a really great man, and I really enjoyed being on his show.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.